What's going on, everybody? This is Sean at Raw Select Music, and today I want to count down my top 10 favorite records of 2018. Like I stated in my previous video, my honorable mentions for this year I really made a concerted effort to try to keep up with as many current releases as I possibly could. There were definitely some records or some albums that I really wanted to listen to, but for one reason or another, I just never got to them, most notably Anderson .Paak, Monsieur Brown, Julian Dine, Detroit Swindle, and a few others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But the reason this list upgraded to a top 10 instead of a top 5 like last year is just due to the sheer volume of music that I listened to this year. And not only that, there was so much good music that came out in 2018. I really wanted to make sure that the records that I thought were truly exceptional in what I feel like was an exceptional year of music, I wanted to make sure these records got the proper attention that I think they deserve. So I don't have any more of a long-winded introduction for this. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into So I'm gonna start with my number 10 favorite record of 2018, which is this guy right here. This is Moses Exodus Displaced Diaspora. I don't know how to pronounce that. This was a record I actually thought was gonna end up being higher on the list back when I first reviewed it. Over time, it sort of dropped down a little bit just because I think there are other records on this list that I like more than this one, but that is not to say that this is not a excellent release. I love the mix of old meets new, traditional meets modern, whether it's jazz or neo-soul or electronic music, and I love the just overall vibe to this. I like the way that each song sort of jumps around to different genres. Some of the songs are a bit more funkier, some of the songs are a bit more moody and a little bit more slower paced. I love the variety of this record. I think for a first outing, I think this is an exceptional debut record. So many great highlight tracks on here. Rye Lane Shuffle, Drum Dance, Access Blue, City Nocturne. This is definitely gonna be a new artist to watch out for. Definitely grab this, and this is definitely one of my favorite records of 2018. All right. Coming in at number 9, we've got Illingsworth, You're No Fun, one of my favorite instrumental hip-hop records of 2018. Illingsworth was already one of my favorite beat makers from his 2016 album on Street Corner Music, Worth the Wait, and he did not disappoint on this record. Still lots of unique, creative, fun beats on here. Some actually really solid, amusing rapping on here. The track he does with Open Mike Eagle Peeves is one of my favorite hip-hop tracks of this year. I love the beats on here. There's a nice mix of atmospheric, some moodier stuff, and it goes hard when it needs to, and there's definitely still some neck-snapping stuff on here as well. If you've not checked this one out, definitely worth a listen, and this one comes in at my number 9 favorite record of 2018. Coming in at number 8, we got Endless Light by Space Ghost, released on Tartlet Records. I really like this one just for the completely engulfing atmospheric sounds on here, the synthscapes on here, the melodies on here, the retro sound that he goes for that is definitely pulling from the past, but not overtly so. I think he still puts enough of a unique spin on it where it doesn't feel like he's going retro simply just for retro's sake. There's tons of creative compositions on here. Some of the songs really do some pretty neat switch ups. Honestly, this was probably one of my favorite front to back listens of 2018. Love the vibes on here. Tons of atmosphere. If you're a fan of retroistic electronic music, Space Ghost, Endless Light, definitely worth checking out. Coming in at number 7, we've got Toshio Matsuda Group, 6 Scenes from the Dance Floor, or unless you got the digital version, or you're like me, you got the 12-inch single, it's actually 8 Scenes from the Dance Floor. I kind of surprised. I thought this was going to end up lower on the list, but I've found myself listening to it a lot more recently. I think what ultimately this record separates itself from other cover records that I listened to this year, like the DJM Trio or Bakao Rhythm and Steel Band, is Toshio Matsuda's impeccable production and arrangements with these songs. It also should be said that the musicianship on here is absolutely top-notch. While I love the majority of the songs that he covers on here. I love the direction that he goes with a lot of these tracks. Most specifically, the Do the Astral Plane cover is my favorite cover track that I've heard this year. The direction that they go with that and taking it into this wild jazz saxophone solo territory is really one of the standout highlight musical moments from this record. And there are tons of standout musical moments that are both pitch perfect for the covers of the original songs that they do on here, but also in terms of the way that they sort of experiment with the arrangements. One track, especially from here, the cover of I'm the Black Gold of the Sun, which is a song that I love the original, but I'm not as big of a fan of the New Yorkian Soul cover of it. I love the cover of this. It's actually grown on me quite a bit. The breakdown in the middle of it is just absolutely amazing. Overall, this is one of the finer modern jazz records that came out this year. If you're looking for some interesting and unique covers on some modern musical classics, Toshio Matsuda does a great job. Definitely worth checking out. All right, coming in at number 6, we've got Rejoicer, Energy Dreams, released on Stone's Throw. As I stated in my review for this record, I found that this was a really hard record to pin down, and since posting that review, I've listened to this record quite a few more times, and I do feel like some of the influences are a little bit easier and a little bit more tangible, but I do feel like some of his influences and some of the other genres that he's mixing together on this record are a little bit more tangible or a little bit easier to understand. Still does not take away from the fact that this is one of the finest beat tape electronic music records that I've heard in a long time. Rejoicer really has a unique and individual voice, and his way of bringing in so many different musical genres and influences into his music and doing it almost completely seamlessly is, I feel like, one of the bigger sort of accomplishments for this kind of music, or at least from what I've heard in a long time. So many great musical highlight moments on here. I love tracks like Yesterday's Forest Magic, Double Astral Move, Alien Sphere, Neon Drive Knows You. A lot of fun to listen to. This is a record that I keep coming back to and keep enjoying every time that I listen to it. And definitely Rejoicer from here on out is going to be on my radar. Definitely pick this guy up if you haven't listened to it. Moving into number 5, my modern jazz record of the year, we've got Joe Armon Jones, Starting Today, released on Brownswood Recordings. This has to be the most colorful record I've listened to all year. It's an absolute joy to listen to. So much energy, so many positive vibes coming from this record. I really enjoy that aspect of it. Front to back, save that rap that happens on Ragify towards the end of this record. I love all the different musical moments on here. There's some amazing musicianship. Joe Armon Jones is an absolutely phenomenal piano and keyboard player, and the musicians that play with him on this record as well are definitely no slouches either. The arrangements are fun, they're surprising, it covers a wide range of music. They managed to bring a lot of those different genres of music together in a very seamless way and really come together as part of the Joe Armon Jones sound. That makes any sense. But yeah, so much good energy from this record. The starting track off this record, Starting Today, is definitely one of my favorite tracks of this year, but that's not the only one. I love the other tracks, Almost Went Too Far, Mollison Dub, and London's Face. So much great music on here, so much great energy, so many great vibes. I don't know what else to say about it. My number 4 pick goes to Ghost McGrady, Believe, on Street Corner Music. Ghost McGrady is probably one of my new favorite beat makers. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for any of his music in the future. I really like his sample chopping on here. I really like the fact that this is some of the most emotive beat making that I've heard in a while. And I think the songs, the tracks themselves as musical compositions really work. I love his use of texture. I love some of the switch ups that he does, some of the little extra sonic details that fit into the mix. Love the drums on here. There's a nice head nod factor. But overall, I just find that it's one of the best listenable instrumental hip-hop records that I've heard in a long time. So many highlight moments from this record. Coffee Pot, Landline, Disassociate, Parks and Shit, Last Pieces to the Puzzle, Pull the Strings, Waiting for it all to end. I basically just read the track list. This whole record from front to back loaded with amazing moments on here. If you have not checked out Ghost McGrady, Believe, definitely one of my instrumental hip-hop projects of 2018. It would have been my favorite if it weren't for my number 3, Kiefer, Happy Sad. I really expected this record to go lower on this list, but listening to it a lot recently and sort of reflecting on it, one, I have to say, more than any of the records that I've talked about this year, I have listened to this album more than any other project in 2018. That in and of itself, to me, makes it a noteworthy release for this year. But it seems like every time that I go back to this record, I notice a different melodic flourish or a different little drum sound or a different little sonic texture or a different part of the song's arrangement. Kiefer continues to show that he is one of the finest keyboard players. I feel like melodically he's even stronger on this record than he was on his last album, Kicking It Alone. Compositionally, everything's stronger. I do feel like the record misses some of the more experimental edges of Kicking It Alone, but it overall doesn't detract from what I feel like is one of the best background music listens of 2018 and definitely one of the most rewarding close listen records of 2018. Can't get enough of this guy. Probably gonna keep going back to it even more in 2019 and in years in the future. Can't wait to hear what else Kiefer has in store. And yeah, that's why Kiefer's Happy Sad ends up in my number 3 slot. So my top 2 and number 1 have been going back and forth over the course of the last few weeks, trying to figure out which one is going to take the top slot and which one's going to take the runner-up. And after long and hard deliberation, I've decided just barely that Leon Vynehall's Nothing Is Still takes the number 2 slot for this year. And I think the only reason it takes the number 2 slot for this year has nothing to do with the quality of the music on here. I still feel like the quality of the music on here is absolutely exceptional. Leon Vynehall as a producer or an arranger is in the top tier and has definitely shown that he is capable of moving beyond the dance floor and producing a noteworthy and truly phenomenal music artist album. And this should definitely be in everybody's music collection for 2018. My only small little quibble that I have with this record is it's not a record that I can listen to all the time. I do love it, and I can go back to it a lot, but I do find that I have to be in a certain mood to really fully enjoy this record. That being said, nothing to take away from anything on this record. Impeccably produced, so many amazing musical moments top to bottom on this record. There is not a sour moment on here, and I really can't wait to hear what Leon Vynehall has in store for future records. If you want to hear more in depth what I had to say about this record, please go back, watch my review to get a more fuller idea of what I think about this. But there's one more record that I like just a little bit more than this one. Don't Act Shocked, my favorite record of 2018. Sam Wilkes, released on Leaving Records. I'm actually kind of surprised that this record did not end up higher on a lot of people's lists this year, because I feel like this record is everything that I look for in music. It is exceptionally well produced. It is exceptionally musical. So much great musicianship on here. Sam Wilkes is an amazing arranger. There's so many creative and interesting and fun and emotional music. I don't think any record in 2018 has touched on every single reason that I listen to music like the way that this record has. From its ambient opening to its slow burn, almost sort of weird chanting-esque vibe from the song Today to the more meditative sounds of Run to the positively bombastic tracks of Tonight and Hug, before calming everything down with the perfect album closer, Descending. There's just so much great music on here. I mean, the only thing that I would complain about is that I wish it were a little bit longer, but even that's not really that big of an issue. To me, this is the absolute pinnacle of music released in 2018. And if you have not checked this guy out, first off, definitely go back, watch my review of this record if you want to get a more in-depth opinion about it. But hands down, bar none, favorite record 2018 goes to Sam Wilks. I don't know what else to say about it. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've listened to any of the records that I've talked about in this video, please let me know what you thought about them down in the comments. Head over to my WordPress or Steemit vlogs, link as always in the description if you want to check out some of these records for yourself. And as always, head over to my Mixcloud page, link in the description, and check out my Raw Select radio show so you can listen to some of the records that I talked about on this list, as well as some of the other records that I don't get a chance to talk about on this YouTube channel. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I might be doing one more video like this before the year's out, so maybe keep an eye out for that. But until then, catch you in the next video. Peace out!